Have you ever had a day where just one mistake makes it wish to where you could just start the day over or just erase everything that just happened? Welcome to Shut Eye Theater, and I had a crazy dream about a young man that had just such a day. You see, this young man, he was different. He was autistic. He was socially awkward and didn't know how to be around other people, but he was a brilliant writer and songwriter. He told him brilliant stories in writing and in music. But outside of that, he didn't know how to communicate with people. Now, while he was in high school, when he was young, he met a young woman in his high school that was a brilliant actress, singer, and acrobat. Absolutely brilliant. And he really started to like her. Main reason he started to like her is because he wrote stuff and she was able to bring it to life. Not just keep it on paper, but make it to something he could see. Not just something in his head. And he loved it. So he started writing more and more for her so that she would have an opportunity to be able to perform it on stage in their high school performances, plays, talent shows. This continued to move on. As he got older, he started selling his work and people started doing the work. But he realized when anyone else did his work, writing, plays, whatever, it wasn't the same. So he sought after directors, producers that looked for good talent, and he was able to convince them of her that she could bring to life his work the best, and was able to convincingly do it. And she did exactly what he thought she would do, which is bring his work to life. And it was brilliant, beautiful, amazing, and he loved her. Absolutely loved her because she could do stuff. And he continued to do this, write more stuff for her, do more movie productions, everything he could so that he could spend more time with her. The problem is, he doesn't know how to communicate outside of his writing. So then he had an idea. He can write well. He can write music well. So he'll write his love notes in the music. She did beautiful music, beautiful plays with heart-wrenching stories of love and love loss, of love unseen. But yet she never saw where the love was coming from. And he struggled to know what is he going to do, because he told himself one day, I'm going to marry her. I'm going to marry her. But will she want to marry me? And so he struggled with this question, a question he didn't even know how to ask. So one day, taking the advice of his younger brother, who told him, if you could take just seconds of courage and apply it in your life, you can achieve anything. So he decided, I'm going to ask her, but I'm going to do it the way I do best, in writing and in song. So he wrote another song, wrote another production that involved all of her talents, singing, acting, and acrobats. And so he wrote this beautiful song with a hidden duet that was only going to come out during the production itself that no one knew about, except him. So he got it all ready. She practiced everything. The show was going to look wonderful. And then they got to that song. And he set up a mic in the back of the stage where he was going to sing the duet part and sneak out and show her how much he loved her through a duet. Now here's the problem though. His audio engineer, knowing him best, knows that he's a quiet man. But he saw these special notes and didn't know what they meant. And so the audio engineer thought it was meant for him to sing the lines along with her, and was supposed to be this funny comedy. And so, not knowing what to do, the audio engineer turns on his own mic and sings with a terrible voice along with her. She gets embarrassed about this weird duet and runs off the stage. And he never had a chance to sing with her, to, finally share his feelings. And he just felt bad that she felt so embarrassed. He didn't know what to do. So he went and sat down in the audience, tried to think of what to do, and finally he remembered his brother again. Seconds of courage is all you need. So he built up his courage, went back to the backstage, and they were finally to an acrobatic scene where a twisting platform with pillars of poles on it, where acrobats would be hanging onto one pole, flip off, catch another pole, going back across from each other, forth and back. This was one of the parts that she's supposed to be in. He sneaks onto the stage, goes to the platform where she's supposed to end near the end. It was going to be the man there to catch her kind of thing, to support her as she got down off the pillar. And as he did so, he started telling and revealing all of his emotions during the climax of the music so no one could hear their little private conversation. And the acrobat turns to him and he sees it's not her. And he's like, where is she? And he's like, well, who? And he mentions her name. And he's like, oh no, she left early. I'm her backup. If you really need to tell her this, you better go now. She's leaving. And he's like, oh no, what do I do? So he leaves. He goes straight for the exit door and beats her there. He thinks she already left, but she was still just back in her bag. And so he's like, okay, what do I do? Where would she go? She would go to the bus. He knew her well enough by this point that she would take the closest, most convenient way to get out of there. So he runs to the bus station. And as he's getting there, the bus is pulling away. Wrong bus, mind you, because once again, he beat her. He sits down on the bus bench, defeated, not knowing what to do. And then he hears behind you a sobbing voice. Why? Why did you humiliate me? All the years we've worked together, why? And finally, he had his opportunity. And in a stuttering and quiet voice, he explains, he wasn't supposed to sing. What? He wasn't supposed to sing. Well, what do you mean he wasn't supposed to sing? And finally he says, that part was for me. I was going to sing with you. So that I could finally tell you how much I love you. She sits down. And they finally have a heart-to-heart. Her giving him time to find the words to voice, which he's able to find words just fine. But saying words and thinking words are two different things. He can think and write with a hand, but think and say, he struggled. But he worked at it hard, and she was patient, wanting to know the truth, and finally heard him. Now here's the kicker. She also liked him, but she thought that he was only interested in her talent, knowing how specific, hyper-focus he could get sometimes on the details, not realizing the details have always been about her. Now this was a semi-lucid dream at the end, and I could feel the light at the end of the tunnel. In fact, I could see hints of wedding bells. But just like any good dream, an alarm has no great storytelling and ends a dream every time. Oh, this was one I wish I could have watched till the end. It was such a beautiful, just kind of romantic comedy with mistakes and the whole mess. And I could see all the hints of all the stories that were combining in this, along with, well, like a little bit of We Bought a Zoo, some of the encouragement attitudes that was in this dream, and the writing, the plays, that was coming from, I don't know how many of you know the origin story of the actual play Little Mermaid, which was actually a ballet. It was written for a ballerina. This writer thought she was trapped in a relationship she didn't want, when in truth, she actually loved the man she was with. But the writer of this play didn't know this. He didn't know this. And that was his love note to her. And then he was kind of embarrassed. My dream kind of took a similar story, similar spin of a writer who loved a performer. But in this case, he does get the girl. And she wasn't trapped in a terrible relationship. It's just miscommunication. Which, how often does that happen to any of you? Where life gets in the way sometimes and you miscommunicate with someone. And you just don't know what to do. Don't know how to communicate. When sometimes you just have to take seconds of courage to say the right thing. Leave in the comments if you've ever had a dream as enticing as this, where just the right moments of courage can get you to the right place. Or have you ever had something in your life where the moments of courage got you to where you wanted to be in the end? I had one of those myself. Involved a wonderful lady where I gained up the courage to finally hold her hand. Yeah, that was over 10 years ago. Married ever since. Share yours in the comments. And until next time, sweet dreams.